Welcome to Smart Home Buyers with Brian Cooper, and I'm Ron Klabunde. Today, we're going to be looking at some questions on how you can go about being a smart buyer. Uh, People think, you know what? Yeah, I'll just go buy a home, right? Without giving much thought to it. But there are actually some really key things that you need to be considering at the front end of home buying to so you do it in a way that makes you money and make sure that you are fulfilling your financial and real estate dreams, which of course all of us want to do. So Brian, I just want to welcome you to Smart Homes. As you know, Brian, I love working with you, man. You are absolutely one of the top real estate agents I have the privilege of serving families with. And your negotiating skills, apart from everything else, is like what delineates you, right? You have a knack, regardless of what home someone is buying or selling, of negotiating at a level that either keeps money in their pocket or puts more in it. So I love the value that you bring to home buyers and sellers across the board. But this kind of, as today we're really focusing on the buying side, right? So, Brian, as we get going today, one of the questions that I hear so many home buyers asking is this, and that is, well, what's my budget and how much house can I afford? Which is exactly the question that every smart home buyer should be probably starting with: is how much do I have to spend, and how much can I afford, and still enjoy life, right? So
Yeah.
love to hear your insights on that.
Yeah. So, generally when I sit down with my clients for their first consultation, this is where this conversation ultimately comes to fruition. And generally, this is an area where we need people like you to step in and give us some real finite numbers and really give us a whole view of their ability to purchase. Generally, I like to tell my clients, hey, listen, especially first time home buyers, but buyers in general, from top to bottom, whether you're an investor or a move up buyer, first time home buyer, you really do need, payment is the most important thing. It's not the rate, it's not the closing cost. All of those things can be adjusted and they're going to be individual to you or individual to the transaction. But it really comes down to payment. So, that's where I think somebody like you comes into play. And there's a lot more I think you can tell us about how to get to that spot where they're comfortable in a price point, and the payment that they're going to pay.
Well, and I think you're right in that, Brian, because the monthly payment is so personal to every family. Um,
Right.
and and what I mean by that is this: I often have home buyers come to me and they ask this question: how much can I afford? Right?
Right.
And here's what I tell them: I say, just because a lender or a bank says you can do something doesn't mean you necessarily should do that. So
100%.
so my job as a lender is actually to protect the smart home buyers that I'm working with. And the way I put it to the home buyers I work with is this: um, we need to make sure that when you purchase a home, you can still afford to buy pizza on Friday night. Because if
Right.
you can't, you're going to wish you didn't buy the home in about 6 months,
Right.
right? So
Right.
again, it's a matter of getting this monthly payment to a place that really works well for the family. And as you mentioned, there are several factors that go into that for any given family. Their personal credit score, because that's going to dictate the interest rate. They're the down payment that they're coming with, right? If they're a first time home buyer, possibly 3% down or less. If they've been in the real estate market for a number of years, they might have more money to bring down. But again, that down payment is going to affect the monthly payment. Property location affects monthly payment. And I have a question for you in a moment about that. But all these factors come into play on that monthly payment. And
Right.
so, and again, they're very personal to every smart home buyer. And so
Right.
it really is a matter of digging deep and hearing the story of the family, hearing their dreams, and then creating a financial strategy that helps them embrace those dreams while still enjoying life once they own the house. Right.
Yeah,
So
for sure. Yeah, at the end of the day or the end of the month, when it's time to make that payment, you still want to feel comfortable writing that check or clicking that payment online, and not live in a world where you're just fighting to make it with every cent. That's
that's right.
not a healthy way to own a home, and unfortunately, it doesn't help you build any wealth. That
Right. That's right. Well, it's not a
pushing
healthy way.
yourself that way.
It's not a healthy way to own a home, and it's not a healthy way to live.
No,
so so the key is doing home ownership in a way that gives life. That's the
right.
key, where the dreams become reality on every front, not just the home
That's
ownership
right.
dream, right?
That's right.
Which kind of leads to another piece of this, and that is we touched on it, and that is location. And so let me broaden the question a little bit. How, as a realtor, how do you see market conditions and location and even a family's long-term goals impact their home buying decision? Give us some insight on that.
Yeah, again, this is a great conversation to have when you're doing your buyer's consultation, which I recommend every buyer out there do with any agent that they are thinking about going to open doors with. You want to have this conversation to make sure that the guy that's opening the door for you is got your best interest in mind. And part of the way that you can do that is through a buyer's consultation, sitting down with your agent first. What we like to discuss is, okay, what's happening in your local market? Real estate is a hyper local business. Everybody has a goal or a dream, like I want to live in this neighborhood next to this school or next to this shopping or in this high rise, for whatever reason it is. And maybe it's the right time for them to do that. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's a long term goal. Hey, I really want to own a property on a waterfront somewhere, but I've got 3 kids in school right now. So, getting not just the home buying, but the long term wealth building fit into the conversation so that we know what stepping stones that we have for the next 10, 15 years, however long it's going to be. That's a big part of the buyer's consultation. You want to have somebody on your side that understands what your vision of the future is. And just knowing local market stats, anybody can do that. But knowing, hey, this neighborhood right here is growing because they're about ready to put a trail in the neighborhood behind it and everybody wants to be there. That's an important piece to know. That's going to affect your home value over time. So, market conditions and location are important for sure. The personal factors, knowing what those long-term goals are, knowing what the client's lifestyle is, and what best suits that. I mean, um, you don't want to put a family of 3 in a townhouse that has Thanksgiving at their home every year with 35 people. You know what I mean? You want to take some of those factors into consideration. And again, having that conversation right up front is, really important.
Well, and I think what's really key about that, Brian, is the conversation. Right.
Right.
Because all of us can go on Zillow and look for homes, but that doesn't mean what we're seeing on Zillow matches up with the school systems, matches up with the area. We may not know, especially if we're moving in from out of town, what any
Yes.
given neighborhood has to offer our children. Or our parents, depending on the, again, the dream. And that dream is so important. Number one, let's be honest, it's just fun to talk about a dream, right?
Yeah,
And and
exactly.
so and so I mean, I, like you, when I'm having my opening calls with families, the first question I ask is, tell me the dream. Because
Right.
as you and I hear the dream of smart home buyers, it gives us clarity how to make sure they're not only getting in the right home, but they're getting in the right loan to make sure
Yep.
that the entire dream,
Yep.
relationally, financially, emotionally, physically are being met. And that's what's so key. This is about a holistic process, not just feeling, checking something off the to-do list, right? This is about the whole entirety of life.
Yeah, and I truly believe that the right agent for or the right loan officer is lender is gonna understand that for the client, and they're going to be able to offer really hyper local information about the things that are part of their personal factors. I mean, you mentioned the different loan types. You have VAs out there, you have 55 plus communities out there. There's a lot of different factors that go into not just the property itself, but does that property fit into the right lending box that we need it to? So again, having that, seeing their vision and having the right knowledge, the right market knowledge about the locations and their personal factors and what their long-term goal, it's all kind of a package thing.
Right.
And most agents out there want to jump right into, okay, so tell me what you're looking for, and they want to know how much and when do you want to move. That's
Right.
it.
That's
Like,
right.
great, man, I got one right down the street, let's go check it out.
Well,
And they don't have any clue. They don't have any clue, what's really going on in those folks' lives. And I think that's where the connection is built, and that's where you really find you have the right guy.
yeah, that's right. Well, and here's the thing though, too, Brian, not all real estate agents are great. I like putting it this way. Not all realtors are equal, right? In fact, if we
Right.
looked at this statistically, 20% of realtors sell and do buying and selling of 80% of the homes. And I think it's even fair to say of those 20%, an even smaller percentage of them are true professionals. And it's so important when buying a home to be working with a true professional. I recommend to my buyers all the time, if they don't have a real estate agent already, I say, listen, you do not want to work with your friend who sells or helps people buy 2 homes a year because she wants to drive an Escalade. That's
Right.
not who you want to be working with, right? You want to be working with a real estate professional that's going to ensure that you're put in the best position possible in your dream. I mean, this is the biggest investment that smart home buyers are making in their entire lives, is their
Yeah.
house, right? And so it's really key to be working with professionals that are going to help that be done correctly. So as you see it, you're clearly a professional, but what are some of those qualities that smart home buyers need to be looking for in a real estate professional when they're making this decision?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I think that the answer is probably a little easier than most people think. You know, First you want to find somebody that is listening to you and asking you questions and really getting to know what your situation is, and is able to repeat back to you the goals that you've established with them. If they're not goal oriented, then how can they represent you being goal oriented?
Right.
So to me, that's a simple A plus B. You want somebody that's got all the local hyper local knowledge. People that understand the communities, people that understand the different products that are out there too, whether it's new construction or condos versus co-ops or 55 plus communities, distressed property, short sales, move up buyers, first time home buyers, somebody that understands the sellers in the area too. I mean, since we're talking about buyer side, you want somebody that's worked with sellers in the market that understand where sellers' mindsets are and where their expectations are, and you want somebody that's going to set the right expectations with
Right.
with you. I don't want to go out there and tell you if, every property is getting 10 offers on it. I don't want to tell you that you're going to win every bid that you put in, but I do want to position you to be a winner. And in order to do that, we have to set realistic expectations. So you want somebody that's not going to be just a yes man and tell you what you want to know. They're going to have real insight and local knowledge about what's going on in the community, and with their fellow realtors and sellers out there. And I'd say the last thing, besides being goal oriented and listening and the market knowledge, is somebody that's really ethically motivated. There's a lot of, you said it before, there's a lot of agents out there. Not all of them are ethically motivated.
That's
You
right.
want somebody that follows the rules, that knows the rules, that knows how your contracts work, that has the technical knowledge to get behind anything that they draw up for you in one of the biggest contracts you'll ever sign in your life. And how does it work? How has it worked in the past? What happens in everybody says you don't need an agent until you need an agent, right? Because should something come up that's less than perfect in the buying process, you need somebody that's able to navigate you and to be proactive about that. Let them know what scenarios they're looking at, being able to manage their timelines and manage their expectations. This should be a fun process. I absolutely love what I do because I
Yep.
get to take people and help meet their goals. And a lot of the people that I've done this with didn't think that they could get where they are. And now they're, working on their second and third home, building wealth along the way. They got more money in their pocket than they ever thought they would. And, to me, that should be a fun process. It shouldn't be a stressful process.
Well, I agree with that fun side, right? And yet
Yeah.
we all know, if we look at the Ray Holmes stress scale in the psychology world, that buying a
Right.
home is one of the top most stressful things any of us can do. But the reality is, when you're working with the right people, it doesn't have to be. It can actually be a lot of
No way.
fun. And you said something else that I love. You said, when the time is right, you need to be working with someone who can really negotiate. And I've seen you do that. You and I have been serving families together, and you're giving me the storyline of the negotiations. And in some of those cases, you kept $15,000 to $20,000 in the buyer's pocket because you know how
Yeah.
to negotiate, right? And I was sitting there as the lender looking at this going, oh my goodness. Now we had to work together on it to make sure that we had room in the loan for them to actually keep the money because of
Yep.
how that needs to be done. But my goodness, the negotiation you brought, I mean,
Yeah.
I was blown away, right? I'd never seen anything like that before.
Hey, listen, I got to say that that's one of my favorite feathers, successful feathers, because, that was with new construction too. And those guys don't want to come off anything,
That's right.
but they were in the wrong and they left the door open
Right.
themselves. And the skilled negotiator or somebody that understands the contracts is going to understand that.
Right.
But, you mentioned something else that I didn't say before, but I think is just a pinnacle of this too. Is you're not just hiring a real estate agent; you're also hiring a lender, a title company. They're hiring an appraiser. There's a lot of people that go into this. You have home inspectors. You've got other licensees out there that you're going to have to deal with. So it's a partnership, and a good agent is going to have good partners behind them. Otherwise, they wouldn't get to where they are. So I think that it's truly important to start the process with any home buyers collectively. That means with the lender and the realtor at the same time, coming together to create that vision for the buyer, so we know exactly what steps that we need to kind of process and go forward. So a question to you would be, what's the best way for the client to connect with you in order to get that first step going? I mean, we talked about my buyer consultation. What
Right.
does it look like on your end?
Yeah, on our end, it's very similar. On my end, it's very similar to yours, right? It's a conversation. And the reason for that, and I know you believe in this too, is that this is all about building relationships. When I work with families, I look forward because they've had such a pleasant experience and great communication, and they've been put in such a wonderful financial position through the process that I have the opportunity to work with them for life, right? This is about relationship. It's about community. It's about
For sure.
helping them live the narrative in their lives that they want to live. That's what I get to do. I tell people all the time, I don't sell loans.
Right.
I don't,
Right.
right? I don't
Right. I
sell
don't sell
loans.
houses either.
You don't sell houses, right?
Right.
I
Right.
am I get out of bed every morning to do two things. Number one, help people create sustainable wealth through
Yeah.
real estate. And
Right.
number two, keep money in their pocket. I happen to use loans to do that.
Yeah.
But there's financial strategy that's going into all of this, because I think a lot of people, and I used to think this before I got into the lending world, I used to think, well, a loan is a loan is a loan.
Right.
Oh, I was so
Most
wrong.
people do.
So a loan is not a loan is not a loan.
Right.
And so it's a matter of looking at the details of a financial portfolio
Yes.
and understanding and taking the time and the intentionality to make sure that every family is put in the best loan for them. Because if they're put in the best loan, then they're going to be positioned to be put in the best home.
Right.
That's the key. And when that's done right, families will grow wealth through real estate, even
Yes.
if all they ever buy are primary residences. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, Brian,
Exactly.
I've owned in my lifetime, I've owned 5 homes now, and I can tell you in owning 5 homes, I've made over $500,000 in equity
Yeah.
in 5 homes. Now, one of those homes
Exactly.
broke even, right? One broke even. It was the market, it was the timing. But $500,000 in 5 homes is a lot of money to make. And all I was buying were my primary residences, right? So,
Yeah.
but again, it's a matter of working with the right real estate agent, right lender that's going to be intentional about making sure that the loan is set up so that the home is set up so that the finances grow, right?
Right.
So you asked, where does someone begin in that lending process? Oftentimes it comes through an invitation through you and other
Sure.
right? And other real estate professionals
That's right.
around the country that I have the privilege of serving families with. And then we go into a conversation because it is about the relationship and the story and the dream. And I'm seeking to understand the finances, the financials behind it. And then it's filling out a loan app. It's that easy. And I tell people all the time, we're talking part one of the loan app is 13 minutes.
Yeah.
Answer the questions the best you can off the top of your head. You'll enjoy it, right? Part two is uploading a few documents. And in all,
Yeah.
most people have their loan app finished in 24 minutes, and then I go to work with my team. And
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it too, is, with the right professionals, they're going to do all the work for you. All you have to do is take their call and be responsive and get us what we need when we need it. And we're going to do all the rest for you. We're going to research, we're going to research the areas for you. We're going to, look at the homes that are on the market for you. We're going to be able to tell, a lot of times we can tell what's going on with homes before we ever step foot in it, and find out information that the buyers just aren't privy to. And it's because we know how to ask the questions, we know how to speak their language. This is all stuff that most home buyers, before they have a conversation with people like you and I, are intimidated by, and they shouldn't be. That they don't need to do any of this stuff themselves. There is a process involved that's tried and true, been done 1,000 times. And if you, even though it's personalized, the outcomes are personalized to you. The process is very consistent, and we as professionals spend a lot of time improving our processes and meeting people, like you said, from around the country and building those networks so that we can take our services anywhere nationally. If somebody calls me from Illinois and says, I want to move to, Ashburn, I've got to, I can make that happen.
That's
If
right.
you call me from New York and say I want to move to Texas, I can make that happen.
Right.
We've got professionals all over the country, and to be able to have those first conversations, I think are truly important. Get somebody on your side, even if it's not in your area, but somebody that you know, like, and trust, that's going to have your best interest in mind to get you in front of the right people in order to make these things happen.
Yeah, that's right. And I think you hit on something really important there, Brian, and that is you're the real estate professional both in Northern Virginia as well as the Tampa area. And yet I see too often home buyers, let's say, picking up and moving to Phoenix, Arizona, right? Just as an
Right.
example. And they just choose some random real estate agent off Zillow or whatever, right? Or a friend says, "Oh, I know someone," but that's not doesn't mean they're the best. And yet what I know about you is if anyone in America calls you and says, "Can you help me find a professional real estate agent?" They name the community. You have a conversation with them to understand their goals so that you can go find them the best agent for fulfilling those goals and
Right.
dreams, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you make that connection for them. That way they know they are working with the best.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, everybody's situation is different. So we want to make sure that we understand what the customer's situation is, the client's situation is, before we pair them with somebody. You know, one situation might call for, hey, we need somebody on a big team because we've got multiple facets of things going on. We've got, a sale of this property, a rental of this property. We need a 6 month rent when we get there, and then we want to purchase, 6 months after that. Well, maybe the team approach is better for them. Or if it's somebody coming from another area that is, looking for some personalized knowledge, knows that they want to live in X location, making a simple move from A to B. Well, they might be better off with an individual agent, and we really want to get in there and understand who they are and what they're trying to do and what their goals are to be able to pair them with the right agent that's going to understand their goals. They're going to have the right patience with them. They're going to have the right motivation with them. They're going to work at their pace. They're going to mirror their values, all of those things.
That's right. So, Brian, what's the best way for us for smart home buyers in Northern Virginia, in the Tampa area, or across the country to get in contact with you so that you can help them make their next step?
Yeah, man, go check out my website. I'm super proud of it. We just launched it a couple months ago. It's been a little while in the works, kind of, again, expanding our territory down here. So it's very simple. It's briancooperrealtor.com. Pick your poison. Northern Virginia, Tampa, go explore any of those areas. The DC metro area is beautiful. The Tampa surrounding area, the barrier islands are just absolutely gorgeous, man. If you're looking for a, vacation home or just looking to move to a nice little quiet community in Palm Harbor or something,
Right.
so go check it out. It's briancooperrealtor.com. Couldn't be simpler. You can also email me too if you want to talk to me directly. There's an about page on there. It should take you 2 seconds, but if you really want to know, I'll put it in the comments, Brian at bcooperhomes.com. But
Right.
anyway, check out briancooperrealtor.com. It's
Yeah,
awesome.
BrianCooperRealtor.com. I'll make sure that that's below in the comments. And again, my name is Ron Klabunde with Atlantic Coast Mortgage. I look forward to our conversation as well, getting to know you, hearing your story, hearing your dreams, and making sure that you achieve both your financial and real estate goals in your next home purchase. And that's simple by getting you into the best loan for you. The way to easily connect with me is simply go to my website at yourhomeloanadvantage.com. Yourhomeloanadvantage.com. I'll put that in the comments below. Thank you for spending your time with us. whether you're in your car, in your home, wherever you may be. And now you have the keys that you need to being a smart home buyer from day one. With that, Brian, love spending this time with you and everyone that got to join us today.
Yeah, man, I really appreciate you doing this. I think it's think they're important topics.
You've got it. All right. Again, smart home buyers. Let's go get it. Reach out to Brian and we'll get you going.